Good morning again, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go again. Eddie Marcus. So I'm sitting in the garage and I'm thinking. I'm thinking about, well, yes, us. What is it can I say that I haven't said? What am I missing that could make this thing clear to my fellow Americans about the position that we're in today as far as our living and lifestyles are, compared to what they can be if they just walked according to a different truth. What can I say? So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, and all of a sudden this thought came to my mind. I don't know why. It was this. We all know what is in America. We all know what is meant by white supremacy. We know exactly. The white supremacists know what it means. The far right knows what it means. All the black people know what it means. Now, let's just say that we accepted the fact, for the purpose of this thought, let's accept the fact that America is a white supremacist nation and white is right, and that's it. Now, that includes everything that we are about: religion, economics, social, other issues, everything. Now, let's say we are Asian people. That includes all of them. And Asian people says we are right in every way, same as the West. Okay? And then let's just say the rest of the world broken up in its little pieces, right? Each one of them, their dynasty said the same thing, that we are right, I am right, and that all that we are about is right. Every nation is covered now saying, I am right, and everything about us is right. We have nothing to apologize for. So, I want you to see that picture. You see that picture real clear? Now, every nation has its geography, and within its geography are the resources that have been distributed to those parts of the earth that are available to the people who inhabit those particular areas. You know, those your resource. That's your oil because it's in your country. That's your resource because it's in your country. All right? Now, each nation using those resources as they do today, right? But now let's include something else. Every one of these particular nations on earth that are claiming that they are righteous amongst themselves, and as far as they're concerned, they are the righteous of the world. But they start at home. And every last one of these nations got nukes. But not just a nuke, it's a nuke that will, if you push the button, the earth, the whole human inhabitation is over. Each nation got that ability, that capability. Now, how do you think those nations would act within their dealings with one another? Do you think they would be fair? Or do you think they would try to scheme and trick somebody and get around them, outsmart them? I don't think that would happen, because I believe that every nation, believing that they are the best, would be looking out for themselves. And they will make sure that you don't scheme them. And the other one is making sure that you don't scheme them. And you're not going to go too far trying to scheme anybody. Why? Because they got a button. They don't have to take it. They don't have to take it. No nation would have to take anything for another nation that they don't like. Why? Because they are sovereign. And if they don't like it, they think they need to defend themselves against it, they can push a button. But to push the button means that they themselves and everybody else is over. They all got to stay in their lanes, just like on any highway. A few accidents happen out there on the highway, but there can't be no accidents happening here, because an accident is the end of it all. So I believe in a situation like that, ladies and gentlemen, and I think you might concur, that a situation like that, each of these nations would respect each other. Now I realize that that is only speaking about international dealings. What about the national dealings? How would people within these countries treat each other? Well, some countries might say, well, we can do what we want to do in our country, and that is absolutely correct. They can do what you want to do in each of your countries. Now, you can respect each people in your country, each person, each citizen in your country, the same way you respect your international dealings with one another. Realizing that your international dealings is under a scope of ending the whole human race if you act like you don't care. Which tells you if you treat your people like you don't care, the only reason that you do it is because they don't have the real ability to stop you like a nuke. They don't have the real ability, as far as they know, they don't have the real ability to shut you down and demand that you treat them respectful. And because they don't know they got that, you do it. So this tells us, ladies and gentlemen, that this stuff that's going on in our society, my reason for making this point is because we can mess over each other. We don't have that threat over us like that nuke. Now, we do have the threat that we will demoralize ourselves and come into some of the worst things we can imagine. Well, it's not really what you can imagine because there have already been other nations that are already there, that have been there and come out of it, and others are going in there just like we are, down in that hellhole. That's what it's designed for, the conduct that people make that leads them there. So I'm saying if if we know that having that ability, that power to be able to stand up and dare you to mess with us, and that means everybody saying we dare, every nation saying I dare you to mess with us. But after a while, just by treating each other right like you're supposed to, it becomes normal. It becomes normal. But that button is still over there that can end humanity. That tells you. So we as people could treat each other right, the same way we would without the button. Because if we can't treat each other right, somewhere down the line, that stuff is going to grow and it's going to seep out of the nation into the international arena, and you will suffer the consequences. So I'm saying today, this tells us that we do have a choice, especially right now when the whole world knows that it is terrible, terrible. There's pain and suffering everywhere. Pain and suffering everywhere. So what I'm saying for Americans, we should fix this stuff. It's not going to be done politically. Nothing we have ever done is going to fix this situation. Let me say this again. Nothing that we've ever done, whether it's the Republicans or Democrats, whether it's FDR or whether it was Hoover or whether it was Reagan or whether it was Abraham Lincoln, nothing that we have ever done will fix this problem. It requires something brand new. It requires that we put our heads and our thinking far ahead in the future. Far ahead in the future, and see ourselves as described earlier in this analogy, with all of us having our dominion. And within that, we have that nuclear button that will destroy everything. If anybody's brought to the point of being dissatisfied, they have the opportunity to end the world. If it takes that to live heavenly, and it does take that to live heavenly, because now you're doing it under the threat of a button. But what about doing it just because you know it's the right thing to do? Now you don't need a button. When you do the right things in your country and treat people right, you don't need guns. It's so simple. Ladies and gentlemen, I really want you to pay attention to this, because with the changes that we're talking about, it's nothing way in the distant future. We can look in the distant future so we can be encouraged to make up our minds quickly now. But this stuff has to happen now. We're talking about now, right now. November, you get these people in office that care about one another. Now, they still don't have the kind of love that we're talking about, but they are not as stuck in the mud as some others. Now, I'm talking to everybody. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat or independent, whatever you are. You vote for the one that cares about people, the ones that got compassion for one another. And our game is in 24. Nobody worried about Trump. Nobody worried about a Democrat or Republicans, because we, the people, are going to fix this thing, get it set up straight. Whoever is in office is going to do what we, the people, have determined what we want. And we're not looking for some leaders to determine anything for us. You go over there to do what we say we want done. And if you can't do it, it's no big story. We're not mad at you. You're part of you were part of the problem, now you're part of the fix. And we got this. All of us got this. This is what I want you to share with the people, ladies and gentlemen. Let's stop. We're going to go ahead on and finish this thing with January 6th. Get that information out there. But in the midst of all of that, I want you to be sure to keep the message going that there is going to be a change. That we don't have to die to go to heaven and realize that we can be free. We don't have to die and go to heaven and sit by Jesus' side just in order to breathe and say, thank God we're alive. We can take care of that right now. And we're going to be about the business of doing just that. I want to thank you so very much, ladies and gentlemen, for giving me this your moment in time. Until next, Eddie Marcus saying goodbye.